Right, hello guys, and welcome to today's video. In today's video, we're going to be doing a best class setup video with one of the guns that recently got buffed in the most recent patch to Modern Warfare. That's right, the big 30 gig update did come with a few nerfs and buffs, and here's one of the guns that got buffed. That is the FAL. So not going to keep you around too long. I'm going to show you the class setup here, which is the muzzle is the compensator, the barrel is the XRK marksman, the optic is the monocle reflex sight, the stock is the no stock, and finally the underbarrel is the Merc foregrip. Now you're probably thinking, this class looks a little bit goofy, but I'm going to tell you now, this class setup is pretty insane. This class setup does the mobility quite well, and it's quite accurate too, and you're going to see that in today's gameplay, because today's gameplay was a 69-6 gameplay with the FAL after the most recent buff. And what was the buff to the FAL, by the way? The buff to the FAL was an aim down sight buff. I'm not sure what the exact value was that changed, or how like fast it aims down sight compared to what it did pre-patch, but I thought, why not? Let's mess around with it and try this class setup. And man, this class setup absolutely decimated the opposition. Again, it was a 69-6 gameplay, which you'll be seeing in a second. Absolutely insane. But finally, I just thought I'd add as well, the Renetti did pick up a nerf. I was using that also in this game. I do explain a bit why I'm using the Renetti and what happened to the Renetti and what was the nerf, and kind of like how I use the Renetti now, because there's a little bit of a different way to use it. And the same with the FAL. In this gameplay, I will be explaining why I use these attachments and kind of like how to use this gun as well, because the FAL has a bit of a unique way to play with it. So yeah, check out today's gameplay. Again, a 69-6 gameplay with this insane FAL class setup. And yeah, let's get right into today's gameplay. Right, hello guys, and welcome to today's video. And today's video is going to be a best class setup video, and not just for any gun, okay? Currently in Modern Warfare, there was a recent update or patch to the game, a big update of that. It was a 30 gig patch, but in that we finally got some buffs and nerfs to weapons. And in this gameplay, you're actually going to see two guns, but the only one I'm going to be discussing for this gameplay, as you probably guessed by the title and thumbnail, as well as the intro clip showing you the class setup, we're going to be doing all about the FAL. And why am I doing the FAL? Well, the FAL managed to pick up a buff. Don't know why. I'm not really sure why it picked up a buff. It wasn't a terrible gun, but it wasn't a great gun. So maybe they just felt like it needed to have a little bit of a buff to it to make people use it more. Obviously, that's going to be a bit hard here in Modern Warfare with people using the M4, the GRU, the MP5. But I definitely suggest trying out this FAL class setup, okay? Because this FAL is pretty good. If you've got a good trigger finger, you feel pretty accurate, I'd suggest giving this gun a shot. So what did they do to the FAL? What changed with it? Well, it only changed one thing, or they only changed one thing with the FAL, and that is the aim down sight time. But we all love a good aim down sight buff, and I'm not really sure of the difference, okay? Because I haven't used the FAL in quite a while, so I'm not really sure of the noticeable difference. But if you're someone who's used the FAL a while, you'll probably notice it, I could imagine, because it's not that terrible aim down sight anymore. I'm pretty sure it had a quite noticeable buff. Again, I don't know the value of how much it changed, but it's a pretty good gun now. So I'm going to talk to you about why I'm using like the attachments I am using, as I showed in my intro clip. But first of all, what you're seeing in the background is a 69-6 gameplay with the FAL, and it was a pretty insane gameplay that I just absolutely go ham here on Anya Palace, which by the way, they did bring it back. They fixed the exploit where you could get on top of this building here, and yeah, they brought it back. It's back in Ground War, and I'm glad they did, because I'm going to be honest with you guys, I actually like Anya Palace in Ground War. It plays really well. I know a lot of people don't like this map, but in Ground War, I find this map to be perfectly balanced for Ground War. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk about the class setup, and I'll tell you why I'm using certain attachments, because you're probably thinking my gun looks a bit ridiculous right now compared to all my other setups. So I'll start with that first, actually. I'll start with a big, goofy reticle that you're probably looking at and you're thinking, why am I using that reticle? That looks like a reticle that I'd pick up if a noob was using, I don't know, an M4 with a thermal or something. It looks like one of those types of reticles. You're probably thinking, why is this guy using that? Well, I'm going to tell you why. So this is the monocle reflex sight. Now, this is one thing I say in the class. You know, the reflex sight, or the sight that you want on the gun, is totally up to you. Okay, it's a personal preference thing. But I'm going to explain why I use this sight. So this sight here is a reflex sight. Now, what does this mean? This means it's a quite quick aim down sight. So basically, you're not going to have a lot of delay when it comes to aiming down sight. It's not going to affect your ability to aim down sight quickly. It's not going to take away essentially what the buff to the FAL is. And this sight has a lot more zoom than other reflex sight. And one of the things that's important on a FAL is the long distance gunfights. And what you want to be able to do is to be able to see, first of all, see what you're shooting at clearly. And at longer distances, you're going to have that extra bit of zoom just to be on target essentially. And this monocle reflex, I've used it a few times in Warzone as well, so that's kind of why I tried it. And it works so well. You could probably tell I'm getting hardly any recoil whatsoever, and the stability of the gun just seems to it's just set. You know, there's no like, there's not a lot of sway with the gun when using this reflex sight. So I definitely, trust me, guys, use this sight, the monocle reflex sight. There's just something about it. I don't know what it is. I've been told that reflex sights and stuff don't really affect, but visibly, or just visually, sorry, the monocle reflex sight just doesn't look like it sways a lot or it doesn't move around a lot. It just seems to be there, and like the dart is exactly where you want it to be at all times. So yeah, that's one thing I'm going to say. Use the monocle reflex sight, give it a shot. If you don't like it, that's perfectly fine. Try the GI mini reflex, try the other reflex sights, but definitely keep to using a reflex sight on the FAL so that you don't lose your ability to aim down sight quickly. Now let's get into the next parts, because one thing with the FAL that a lot of people struggle with is being able to have essentially a quick, I don't know, mobile FAL whilst also having the ability to have lower recoil. It's a very hard balance to get right on the FAL. Now there is some things you can do with the FAL, because the FAL is a little bit different to other guns. It's not a full auto, obviously. It's a semi-auto that you have to, you can trigger discipline. So you can essentially control the recoil if you want to. And that's probably half the things I'll explain in this gameplay, that there is a lot of like trigger discipline that is a bit different to than other guns in Modern Warfare. So let's get into it. Let's talk about all the recoil attachments that I've done. So the first thing I added was the muzzle, and you're probably thinking, why didn't I go for a monolithic suppressor? The monolithic suppressor adds damage, it suppresses the gun, why would you not want that? I have it on like every other class I'm pretty much uploaded on this channel. And I went for the compensator. Now the compensator is the best attachment for reducing vertical recoil, and that's what this gun has a lot of. If you trigger spam this gun quite a lot, you get a lot of vertical recoil. So the only way to really deal with it is with the compensator in the muzzle category, and the compensator is fantastic. It just massively reduces recoil, you will notice it. So definitely use the compensator if you want to reduce the recoil, and I definitely suggest it. And as you can see, you'll be seeing in this gameplay at this point how like easy it is to control this weapon because of the compensator. There's literally no vertical recoil whatsoever because of the compensator, so make sure you're using that attachment. Next up is the barrel. So for the barrel, I used the XRK Marksman. Why did I do that? Damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil control. Now the most noticeable thing with this is actually the bullet velocity. For some reason it's quite odd with this gun. I was shooting, because I played ground war quite a lot, especially on the map with the towers, can't remember what it's called. But the map with like tons of towers, I don't know what it's called, but you guys know what I'm on about. Every time I'd shoot like upwards to the sky to like shoot directly at someone, because it's a 7.62 round gun, so you'd expect the bullets to like not have a lot of, how do I put it, like dip. Basically you'd expect the shots to go straight at the target, but there was a lot of dip when I wasn't using this barrel, which I was quite surprised at. So I equipped this barrel and then it felt the same, it felt like I was using a 7.62 magazine gun. It felt like every time I shot someone at long range distances, my shots were hitting exactly where they needed to. Didn't have to like adjust to the height that they were at or adjust to the distance they were. I was just shooting directly at them and my shots were hitting. So that's why I'm using this barrel mainly. Yes, there's a better damage range, so that might help in certain cases. I'm not sure exactly how much it would help, but it definitely would help, even though the FAL is a 3 to 4 shot kill weapon anyway, so it has a lot of damage anyway, but adding more damage, you can't really go wrong with that. And then the recoil control. Again, we're trying to lower that recoil as much as possible, and this added to the compensator just makes the vertical recoil even less. So there's no reason not to use this barrel essentially. So yes, definitely use that barrel. Yes, you lose aim down sight and movement speed, but don't worry, we'll fix that. Because we go on to the next attachment, which is the stock, and that is the no stock. Now you're probably thinking, whoa Taz, hold on. Yes, you get movement speed and aim down sight speed, and it's a big change from when you're using the no stock or not using the no stock. But you need to have the speed on this gun, and we've got a lot of attachments that are dealing with the problems of recoil, like the recoil being too much. So it's perfectly fine to use the no stock. It's not going to affect the ability of this gun, but it is going to give you a massive benefit of being able to just be mobile in close quarter situations and being able to aim down sight quickly enough. So definitely use the no stock attachment. You will definitely feel the benefit of it up close, medium range, and even long range. The ability to strafe is massively important, so the no stock will definitely help with that. Definitely use that attachment. Next up, and finally, the last attachment is the underbarrel. Now, there are many barrels you could go for. Underbarrels? Yeah, underbarrels you could go for. And the one I went with in the end, because I did try out two underbarrels that I thought would work for this gun, because again, we're trying to do the vertical recoil. We're trying to make this gun as stable as possible. So what I tried out was the Merc foregrip and the Ranger foregrip. And as you saw from the intro, I did go for the Merc foregrip. Now, why did I go for the Merc foregrip? The Ranger foregrip is slightly slower than the Merc foregrip. And the Merc foregrip, for me, at least personally I notice it, seems to deal with the vertical recoil a lot more than the Ranger foregrip. I think the Ranger foregrip is just a good balance between aiming stability and recoil control, whereas the Merc foregrip gives a slight boost to hipfire accuracy, but I'm going to be honest with you guys, do not hipfire with this gun. You will probably lose 9 times out of 10 trying to hipfire with this, so do not do that. That is one of the big weaknesses of the gun. But the Merc foregrip with the recoil control definitely helps out. It is a slightly better underbarrel as far as keeping movement speed and your aim down sight speed compared to the Ranger foregrip, so definitely use the Merc foregrip. So yeah, that is all the attachments, that is all you need to make this insane FAL class setup. And again, the proof is this gameplay right now that you're watching. You're seeing my ability to be able to control this gun is very easy. Now I will say one thing as well, because I'm sure people will ask about the trigger finger and stuff like that. There's certain, basically you gotta be pretty good with a trigger finger to use this gun. Now I will admit, I do have trigger stops on my controller, so that does help me. As you can see, I can fire the gun quite fast. So if you're someone who struggles a bit with a trigger finger, don't worry. This gun isn't that bad if you don't have the greatest trigger finger in the world, especially as this class makes the gun very accurate. So as long as you're accurate and you're able to position yourself well, it's not that big of a deal to have whether or not you have a good trigger finger or not. And as you can see, the vertical recoil is just non-existent with this class setup. So definitely try this class setup. I'm telling you now, guys, if you can master your trigger finger and keep your accuracy pretty good, as long as you're someone who can keep the dot on the target, you're going to be good to go with this gun. This gun kills at a quick kill time. It's accurate. It just does what it needs to do. It has a lot of high damage. It keeps a lot of damage over range. Essentially, you're just going to have a gun that can do it all, really. And I'll talk about the Renetti as well real quick, because that did receive a nerf. I'm not really going to do a video on that because I'm not going to go around messing around with a Renetti. But the Renetti did catch a nerf, and the only thing I'll massively say with it, yes, it's a bit weaker, but the one big problem you're going to have with it is hipfire. Do not hipfire this gun. As you can see, it's just not the same gun it is anymore. The hipfire spread is massive on the Renetti with the burst mod there. I am using the burst mod still, because it's still a good attachment, so definitely use that. But the hipfire on the Renetti is just not the same anymore, so definitely avoid using the burst fire Renetti as a hipfire weapon. But definitely aim down sight with it. Definitely use the burst mod still. It's still a fantastic attachment. It's still a good secondary pistol. Probably better than the 357, the Deagle. It's definitely one of the best pistols in the game still. And yeah, another thing I'll say with the FAL though, so yeah, trigger discipline. Make sure you're good with your trigger discipline. There are going to be moments where you're at really long distances where you can't spam this weapon. And that's all I'm going to say with the FAL is make sure you don't spam this weapon at very long ranges. Otherwise, you're just going to miss a lot of shots, you know. As much as this class up has reduced the vertical recoil, if you try to trigger spam at like 50 meter plus, you're not gonna have a fun time, okay? You're gonna miss a lot of shots. Don't be so concentrated on shooting the gun as fast as possible. Just make sure you're hitting your shots, and I promise you the reward will be there of you being able to get the kill. Because again, as long as you're hitting your shots, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter how fast you fire the gun. It's about hitting your shots. It makes the enemy player flinch, and it just makes your chance of killing them a lot greater than if you were to fire the gun quickly. But yeah, that's the gameplay in the background. 69 and 6. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you enjoyed this class setup. Absolutely insane class setup. I will be doing more for the most recently buffed weapons in Modern Warfare. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Do try out this class setup. It's absolutely insane class setup. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe notifications on. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Goodbye.